Joining us now on the program is Joshua Parish. He is a board member of VetLife, an organization focused on helping veterans return to civilian life here in the United States following their service to our country. Joshua, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Appreciate having you on to talk about this very important work that your nonprofit organization does to support our veterans who are coming back to the U.S. and transitioning from life in the military to life as a civilian after their service. Can you tell us about some of the ways that VetLife helps to make that transition, and what are some of the important key points of producing that transition from veteran life to civilian life that maybe are often overlooked in general society that doesn't have this knowledge?
Sure. That's a great question. So, what we know is that, and we'll just take Michigan for example. Michigan has around 600,000 veterans, but in 2019, less than 18% of that population was connected to a federal benefit they earned through their military service. So that means that there's hundreds of thousands of veterans in Michigan, not unlike myself back in the day before I was plugged into the system that I had to search for, exhaustively. What we know is that veterans are entitled to, and these are just a few of the benefits: education assistance, VA home loan, disability compensation, and VA health care. And so, what I tell people is each veteran that gets connected to their benefits stimulates the local economy. Because think about it this way: the more veterans that you have coming through your county Department of Veterans Affairs doors getting screened for their benefits brings more money down from the federal level down to the state. So we'll take disability compensation, for example. Veterans are rated at a 0 to 100% scale, and the federal government pays you monetarily for the injuries that you incurred or aggravated during your military service. So let's take one veteran, for example. If they're rated at 100%, that brings in at least $3,000 a month down to that local economy being spent at your local store. So it just benefits our local communities to have that targeted outreach. And unfortunately, there's a misconception, not just in Michigan, but throughout the country, that veterans are well taken care of after they leave the military service. And that just couldn't be farther from the truth.
Yeah, there's so many of these benefits that you just mentioned that are just a handful of the benefits and many of the issues that they go back to that veterans face when they come back from service of all different kinds. And can you kind of speak to that issue and how you and others with VetLife came together when this organization was formed in 2018 to help bridge some of those gaps and help your fellow veterans return to civilian life here in the U.S.?
So, yeah, another great question. So, my wife and I actually started VetLife sitting at our kitchen table because when I left the military in 2008, I really struggled. And the way that it's explained to you when you leave the military, when you do go through TAPS or when you ETS, which is your estimated time of separation, the federal government tells you that, oh yeah, it'll be very easy to get the benefits that you earned. You just have to go to the VA. And if you ask any veteran what I guess a trigger term would be to irritate them, it would be just go to the VA, because the VA is such an all encompassing term. And I think it's intentionally vague, because when the government knows that you're going to leave the military, they can just wash their hands of you. And so that's why organizations like VetLife exist, because of the actual physical, mental struggles that I went through when I left the military. And quite honestly, there was a very low point in my life where I just didn't want to be here anymore. And I felt like nobody cared about me. I felt like I served my country honorably, faithfully. And when I got home, they make you feel like you're a broken person and that you don't deserve these benefits. So when we created VetLife as a veteran family ourselves, we designed every event that we do to be centered around the family. So we keep it very simplistic in our approach. And I'll just reference a few examples of our events. VetFest has been designated as Michigan's largest free outreach event for veterans and their families. We have literally connected tens of thousands of veterans over the last 5 years to their benefits. We invite the veteran and their family to, it's somewhat like a resource fair, but we invite the resource providers that we vet personally, and everything is free to the veteran and their family. Free food, free band, free prizes, free static displays, free face painting. We have everything for every part of your family, your spouse, the veteran, the children, your grandparents. And we do that intentionally because we know that a lot of veterans are afraid of the VA. They've had negative experiences. So when we wanted to, I guess, bridge that gap and make people feel comfortable, make people feel like they mattered again, and we thought that bringing the family into the process was going to ensure success for the veteran to get connected to their benefits.
And it's important too that you make that point, because when a veteran returns home from their service, no matter what kind of service it was, or how extensive, they did serve the country in combat or in other missions throughout the world that the U.S. military participates in. It has an impact not just on them as individuals, but on everybody that is in their life, especially like you said, for those that are coming back, and just mentally the fatigue that comes from facing the reality of your life changing. It can be significant. So, what does VetLife do in addition to helping the individual veterans with some of those steps that they can take to improve their life coming back into the fold as a civilian, but also to help the families make those transitions as well, so they can help their beloved veterans too?
Sure. So we know that when you leave the military, traditionally you face four core issues, four main issues every veteran faces, one level or another. That's education, employment, healthcare, and quality of life. So what we've done at VetLife is we've created what we call our four core pillars of excellence. So we bring in subject matter experts. We bring in community partners. We call them pillar partners, and the problem is not that the resources are not available, it's that the veteran doesn't understand what resources there are for them. And number two, unfortunately, there are a lot of organizations out there that say that they do things to help veterans, but in all actuality, they do not. So that's why it's so important that we vet every community partner, every resource provider that we bring on to VetLife, to make sure or to ensure that they are doing what they say that they're doing. Because here's the thing, there was a DoD study years ago that stated that a veteran will ask for assistance 3 times on average. So if that veteran does not obtain that assistance within that third time, essentially they just blend back into society, which I think adds to the confusion and adds to that number of the hundreds of thousands of veterans that are still not connected to their benefits. So, as I mentioned before, bringing the family into the process is something that nobody else is doing. Go to the state agencies, go to the federal agencies, even go to the county agencies, and you're really not seeing the family involved in the process. It's always just tailored to the veteran.
We're joined by Joshua Parish from VetLife on today's edition of the Megacast. You can find more information in a couple of different places. You can find it on their website, vetlifetoday.org, vetlifetoday.org, or by going to sharedetroit.org. Go into their Find a Nonprofit section and search for VetLife. You can also find information on 324 additional charities and nonprofits in the Metro Detroit area there, as well as upcoming events that they'll be participating in, including the Oktoberfest Charity Pub Crawl happening October 1st from noon to 5 p.m., and Harvest for Heroes in November 20th, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. And this is a lot of work. All the work that VetLife does to help these veterans, it is extensive. You're helping people with issues that are often very complicated, and to get services that are very much needed for these veterans. How much of an impact can volunteers have helping your organization to do some of this work? And what sort of volunteer opportunities may there be with VetLife?
Well, volunteers are integral, not just because they're at the events experiencing the good things that we're doing in the community, but they're also a very good sounding, a good marketing piece to go out into the community and say, look at all of these great things that VetLife is doing. To give you an example, we had a female spouse and her veteran at our last Vet Fest event. Recently, she reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want to hold a fundraiser for you at one of our high school football games." So we get in front of a couple thousand people tonight in front of a football game and talk about all the great things that VetLife is doing. And so I mentioned before, all of our events are completely free to the veteran and their family. Really, the only thing that they have the option to purchase is one of these VetLife t-shirts that I'm wearing. And my wife always jokes around. She's like, "You're a walking billboard," because all I ever do is wear my VetLife gear because I'm so proud of all the things that we've accomplished and that she's accomplished. So I would say, yeah, we would love volunteers. So for Vet Fest, we get over 3,000 veterans. So you can imagine you need 20 to 30 volunteers just for that event alone. You referenced our Harvest for Heroes. That is an annual event where we provide Thanksgiving turkey baskets to veterans and their families. I grew up really, really poor, and I grew up not being able to have turkey on Thanksgiving. So when I left the military, I said, I'm never going to allow a veteran under our watch to ever go without a Thanksgiving meal, a Christmas meal. So we pass out somewhere between 200 to 250 turkey baskets annually. And we have some community sponsors that step up and help out. That entails volunteers. The pub crawl entails volunteers. We have a Little Troops on the Field event where we do free football clinics and we work with the Detroit Lions. So yeah, if you want to volunteer, please reach out to us at contact@vetlifetoday.org. And what will happen is you will be entered into our volunteer database. And so when the event comes available, we'll reach out to you and we'll say, hey, do you want to volunteer for this event? And once we get the required amount of volunteers, we'll just ask if you want to volunteer for the next event if we can't fit you in this one.
Well, Joshua, appreciate you joining us and telling us about the great work that you and others with VetLife do. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, sir. And I appreciate you.